Hi, everybody. We're glad to have you back as we recap this weekend. It's kind of a different week, very much a different week.
But it was a fantastic week.
Man, it really was. Really was. Baptized 17 people this
17
weekend.
people. Yep.
That's awesome.
Had a crowd. If you were at that 10:15 service, whatever the middle one is, it
in the
was
middle.
so crowded. It's like everybody came to that one this week. So it was quite a crowd, and had some people say yes to Christ.
Had seven of those.
7.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
7 people said yes to Christ this weekend too.
Wow,
So,
that's just awesome.
so yeah, I mean, even though it was a little bit of a different weekend, I mean, it was still a really powerful weekend, and one that we had kind of designated was going to be a little bit different, kind of going into it, as we are dreaming again.
Matt was gone,
I was gone.
but he's here today
Heathen.
to talk
I was
about
a
it.
heathen this weekend.
Do you even know what happened this weekend, Matt?
What did we do? A
don't
lot of
know.
dreaming, I heard.
You were camping.
You were
I
dreaming.
was camping.
We were working. You were fishing and camping. And what did you guys sleep in? Were you in a tent?
A tent and sleeping bags.
Matthew's son is 13 today.
He is
and They
indeed.
took him on a nice camping trip. So you slept in a tent.
I did.
Wow. I hate
Well,
that.
I stayed awake a lot in a tent and slept some.
Yeah, that's how you do in a
A
tent.
lot of rolling over happened.
Yeah, I'm not a camper.
Yeah, yes.
And how far away was the nearest hotel?
Not far at all.
Not too
Ingalls was 5
far
minutes
enough.
away. So.
That's not camping. If you're 5 minutes from Ingalls, I'm not sure that's camping.
So you guys started out with this idea. I know Andrew had this idea that y'all were only going to eat what you caught,
Yeah.
right? Because you were going to do some fishing, you're going to eat what you caught. How long did that last?
20 minutes.
They went to Ingalls and he said, Andrew, throw me a steak.
That's exactly right. I packed an entire cooler full of food, knowing my fishing experience.
Oh, but y'all had a good time?
We did. It was a blast.
Good, it was good. Glad you got that chance to celebrate with him a little bit.
My boy's 13.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'm good now.
It happens to the best of us. My boy is 26. Are you 26 now?
That's twice the age of 13.
exactly twice the age. Yeah, it happens.
All right.
My boy's 13 twice now. Wow. Anyway, well, it's been good to have y'all
Dream
for
again.
this Matt's camping trip talk.
Yep.
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 All right, no. So, dream again. We really led us into Acts chapter 2, talking about the vision, and the vision for us hasn't changed. We kind of reestablished the fact that hey, our vision here, the way that we're dreaming is building His church and transforming our community. But then we did launch out into a couple of areas that. Tools, as the way that you described it, tools that we feel like we can use to help do that, to help build His church and transform our community. And we had a great video that the staff was a part of, but Michael, our digital director, really did the meat of the work and putting that video together. Did a great job in kind of helping to cast the vision for those two big areas. One being a new building here on this campus, and then the other part of that being a new campus for us. Out in Mills River area, and so a lot of excitement around that. A lot of ideas, a lot of people that were coming up, and big smiles, big grins, talking about that they were ready to continue to dream with us and help to accomplish that vision. So, great day.
Really cool. Before I even left the building, before we were gone yesterday, people had already given $26,000 to the building fund.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy before we even left.
Nope. It was.
And we didn't really make an appeal for anything today. It was all new, but there you go.
It was really about, hey, pray with us about what God may have you to do to help jump on board with this. And as people were praying, God was already moving on their hearts to get involved. And that's exciting to see.
Yeah, it really is.
So as we kind of came out of that, I know that we were all there were people who had questions and were in their excitement. They had questions about different aspects of this dream, and really felt like that today what we could do during our recap podcast was to try to help tackle some of those questions, because if one person has them, chances are multiple people may have them, and they just didn't have time to ask before they got out of here.
It's an overwhelmingly wonderful response from everybody. I got text all afternoon of people excited about it. One lady told me she was out in the parking lot just crying with joy about it. And several people just said, let's go, let's do it. So I got all good responses. But it's hard to do something in 30 minutes and do it 4 times, over and answer everybody, all the potential questions. So let's answer some questions today. Throw them at me.
Yeah, Matt, why don't
And
you ask?
you guys feel free to jump in and help me answer those.
All right. Well, Matt, why don't you ask
I would love to ask.
Why don't you ask
no,
the question that was asked to you the most?
Where are the fish? That was the question.
Why aren't we catching fish? That's what.
Because I don't know what I'm doing, son. That's why.
Okay.
No, that's the answer to that one. No, I think probably one of the bigger questions is just kind of timeline. Like, what does this look like as far as really a new building? Like, when does something like that happen?
Yeah, we'll let y'all know kind of where we are right now. We have preliminary plans from the architect and a preliminary estimate of what it's going to cost from the architect. Currently, the architects are working on plans that we'll be able to submit for actual bids from contractors. And the hope is that we will be able to phase this building in and not have to have, we estimate, the cost of the building itself was estimated by the architect to be $10 million. We estimate with parking lot, we would estimate paving the gravel parking lot and getting parking and the interior furniture and all, there'll be a gym there. The youth will have a sanctuary there, and that's really expensive to equip that. So we're estimating $3 additional million to get this thing done. So we're looking at $13 million. But the architect is looking to, or we're asking him to develop a phased plan as much as possible so we can begin and start using perhaps the gym of it before we're able to finish everything. That is, unless all of a sudden God gives us that $13 million. When God gives us that $13 million, we're going full steam ahead. I told somebody in service, give that $13 million and we'll start breaking ground tomorrow.
Right.
But we're in the process right now of just getting those phase plans. And typically, that money were to come in tomorrow. Typically, there's months of planning and then months of actually building it. So
Sure.
If that money were to come in tomorrow, we're still a year out of actually seeing a building there unless some miracle happens.
Right.
It takes a while to build it, but the faster we're able to get that money, the faster we'll be able to move. And to reiterate, we're doing this debt-free. We're not borrowing the money to do it. We're believing God to send us the money. So we're going to use what He gives us one step at a time to get it done.
Can you? I mean, you've shared this before, but would you mind reiterating why are we choosing to go at it from this vantage point? It's very much different than any other building project that most of us have ever engaged in, right? Most time it's go take a loan out, borrow money from the bank, and we could do that. I mean, the church has got great credit. I mean, there's no issues there. I mean, we could do that. But why is it that we feel so compelled to do this building debt free?
Well, the underlying it all, we just felt like God told us to do it that way. And so, that's part of the answer that we just, as our church board met and talked about this, we just felt like God was putting it upon our hearts to demonstrate His ability to provide for His church and not to have to go, we're really big on not going to places asking for them to donate to us, but we're big on going to people trying to help them. And not out of pride, but just out of a sense of we are the church and God's provided for us. How can we help you? That's what we want to be. So we just felt like going into this, we didn't want to have to depend on a bank or financing. The other big reason is we do not want to have a huge payment that we have to make every month that might possibly keep us from being generous when we need to be or want to be. We've been out of debt for pretty good while now. We paid the debt off of this initial building fairly quickly for a church of our size at the time. And then we borrowed a bit for the remodel, some of construction projects for the remodel of the sanctuary. We were able to do this bathroom remodel, I believe, without touching one penny of debt. I think we cash flowed. We did, didn't we? We cash flowed every bit of the remodel right now without being in debt. And it's been so freeing and so much life in just not owing anybody anything.
Yeah.
We're going to keep that going. So we're going to stay generous through this process.
That's great.
But to answer the big question, that depends on the giving and the money coming in and the phased plans, which are being developed now.
Yeah. Staying with the theme of timeline, what about the Mills River campus? When will that begin to take place?
That decision was made prayerfully as well, just when we started looking at how many people are coming on this campus and recognizing that there's a limit to how many people are going to be able to come here. You start dealing with sanctuary, with parking, with children's ministry, with everything going on. You reach a point where bringing more people into one location becomes much more expensive and a lot of overhead in building and maintaining those big buildings that you're going to use once a week. I didn't feel led to construct a big 1,500 seat sanctuary. And as I shared that with the board, they didn't really feel led to do that either, because we just didn't feel like that's what God wanted us to do. We didn't want to make it about the gathering. I'm going the long way around to try to get to your question.
You're good.
And that just led us to say, what are we going to do? The idea to plant a campus in Mills River was not a let's become a mega church or let's become a multi-site thing because everybody's doing it. And it's not about just building up big numbers or money or anything else. It became a stewardship question for us. Our idea was, how do we best steward the people that God is sending us? Because if He's sending them to our door, He wants us to make a place for them. So the idea of another campus had been kind of stirring in my heart for many, many years. Right. We had talked about this. We dreamed about another campus back before we even moved to this building. We had talks about maybe God will bless us so much one day that we can do something like this. So I dreamed of this way back. But as we began to talk and pray, I went to the board. I can't remember when exactly it was, but I went to a board meeting and said, hey, what about Mills River? What would y'all think about doing that as a campus? And I kind of thought they would sit back and kind of say, let's think about it. Our church board jumped on that, like I've used the term, like a dog on a bone. You know what I mean? It's like they jumped on it and said, yeah, let's do it. I mean, the first meeting was like, yeah, let's do it. We continued to pray about it, and generally, over a few months, we really felt like God was calling us to do that. All that being said, our goal, the ultimate goal, is not just to have a physical location in Mills River. Our goal is to serve Mills River, which we started doing immediately in giving, and that hasn't gone as quickly as we wanted it to, but we started by serving and giving. We've made some donations to community organizations there and ministries, and we've got a group of several connect groups in that area that are meeting, and so we're going to go in serving and loving the community first, which is who we are, and let the gathering follow that. We want to have a solid number of people before we plant that campus. My idea, and God can do whatever He wants with this, but my idea is get 300 people committing to go start a campus there so we can start with a larger group, and not just start from the ground up,
Right.
So that's what's going on there. The other idea is we really want to do it well and not throw it together. So we're in talks now with some consultants who help churches do multi-site nationwide. So we potentially are going to be partnering with a group of consultants next year to really get our ideas together and really make this thing happen.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, I know we don't know where a building like that would go, but I think a lot of people come back to the building we're building. Like, where's something like that going to go?
Yeah, that building right now is, we initially had talked about a building back behind the sanctuary here. What we're thinking right now, the most logical place is down by the current student ministries building for that new building. Thanks for asking that, because I missed that. It's a big flat piece of land. There used to be a house sitting there, and we moved that off a few years back. And so we think putting it down there allows it to connect with our parking lot and will be a good place for ministry partners to use it, and just a real place for community outreach to happen.
That's great.
As well as our students.
We talk about the growth a lot that has been going on here just on this campus, and we see the number of people that are just coming into the auditorium and in the sanctuary and worshiping there together. So with this new building, are we going to move the sanctuary down there to that building?
No, our sanctuary is going to stay right here.
Okay.
I know when we show it all at one time, people get these ideas and questions. No, the sanctuary is going to stay here. We're going to do as many services as we need to minister to the people that God sends to this campus. And when Mills River happens, we'll be taking 300 of those, hopefully maybe more, to start the campus over there. And so we believe we're going to be fine here. We'll always be challenged. We'll always have space issues, and that's a good problem to have. But we're sticking with our sanctuary for now, unless God leads us to do something else.
No, that's good.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, I think it does open up opportunities down there as far as overflow. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know, there's so many options for digital and being able to.
Yeah, we'll have a big room down there where if we did have a Sunday, we could put overflow down there, and people could join us, I guess, from that building by video.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if we've talked about, I know, like you said, is it 26,000 already came in?
Yes.
Are we planning to do something that's more like, hey, here's a special moment, here's a special day where we're going to really do a specific offering for this, or is it going to be a little different than that?
The first thing we're going to do is sit down, and we have some financial brains coming in to meet with us next month to help us do this well. We are different. We're not a fundraising church. We're just praying through how we do this. I would anticipate, we don't have one yet on the calendar. The next big offering we have is the Christmas offering, and we're giving everything away, and we're not going to interfere with that.
Right.
We're going to allow people as they go, as people feel led to do it, they can come and give on there. There will be a designation of offering on the website, that they can give through the online giving portal that they use. They'll be able to designate something as building fund on a regular basis. So we're kind of hoping to do that, but it seems logical to me that there's going to be a week or something like that we say, hey, let's raise this money.
Yep.
We just don't have that on the calendar yet.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
As we are thinking through raising, or waiting on 13 million or so to come in, is there a dollar amount in your mind or in leadership's mind that we have to have in hand to be able before we can start, or do we need to have all 13 million in hand before we get started?
I think there will be a dollar amount. I just don't have that yet.
Yep.
As we consult with the architects and see the potential of a phase, we'll be able to get our minds around, you need this much to break ground.
Right.
Because you don't want to just start digging and laying a foundation with having enough to finish. There is something in the Bible about counting the cost of the tower, So we will know when we start that we have the money to take it at least to phase one.
Good.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned, at least during one of your services, that somebody came up to you afterward and said that you're dreaming too small again. You think that's true?
It might be. It's just an authenticity. We're pretty authentic around here and say what we think. It feels like we're dreaming big, but it did when we built this building. And this building served us well, for about 20 years. So,
Still does.
So it's still serving, and it's still going to.
Yep.
We just needed to add to it. I think the idea, I wouldn't say we're dreaming too small. And I don't know that anybody's saying that.
Yeah.
What I keep hearing is that the dreams God has for this place are bigger than we're even imagining now. And I think that's probably 100% true, because they usually are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This whole phase that we're in now of moving into this, I'm beyond anything I dreamed at this point going forward. This is all God bonus, whatever you want to call it. I'm in a new season.
God bonus.
This is just extra that I never dreamed of, but He knew all along. Obviously,
That's a cool place to be, though.
Yeah.
One of the other areas of ministry that feels the crunch on a weekly basis is our children's ministry.
Yeah,
and so
they do.
As we move into this phase and building this building down here, how do we see that helping our children's ministry?
We're in a project right now. We haven't talked about it very much, but you'll notice the hallway back here. Most folks coming through have noticed the redecoration of the hallway there and the theming that they love so much. That's just the start of that. We're doing the stairwell and the upstairs hallway.
Shout out to
soon
Creative
here.
Fuse.
Shout out to Creative Fuse. They've done a wonderful job.
Yep.
We highly recommend them to anybody that listens and wants to use them. Creative Fuse is awesome. They've designed the upstairs hallway and the stairwell back there, and it's all going to fit into the theme. So we're putting a lot of emphasis on children, as we always have. The thing that may not jump out at people when they think about a new building, this new building does not have plans for children's ministry. What this new building will do is it'll free up a lot of the space, this being multi-use up here. So this space will be wide open for children's ministry. We'll be able to move a whole lot of stuff from this building down to that building, and the children's ministry can grow into the space that's already here.
Yeah, it'll free up several rooms where adult connect groups are currently meeting, and they can go down there to the new building, and it just kind of really widens up the gap. It frees up several rooms upstairs for us to be able to expand children's ministry there.
And there's tons of things the children's ministry is going to be able to do in that building.
Yes.
Just not on a Sunday morning necessarily. Maybe they will at some point, but there'll be a ton of benefit to them.
Correct.
Yeah.
One of the things that I loved about this weekend, I guess, was the point where you began to talk a little bit about the difference between visions and dreams.
Yeah.
And you really were able to drive home for me the idea that we are dreaming about things that are going to outlive us. And as I've heard you really beginning to talk about that, man, that's one of the things that's starting to just really exciting me about this next phase of ministry for us here at Upward, is that we are launching into these dreams that are going to make a ripple effect that will far outlive any of us that are currently on staff. I think about, my kids, who are not 13, by the way, in case anybody was curious. They're younger than 13, but how this is going to impact them for years to come, and my grandchildren, on the backside of that as well. How things that we're doing now are going to impact them. I mean, I just love that idea about how we're dreaming again, but the dreams are things that will outlive us.
Legacy.
Yeah,
It's coming.
it is.
It's coming.
It is.
I'm going to have grandchildren in that building.
Yes, you are.
I thought about this. We talked about in Acts, your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. My grandchildren will prophesy in that building.
Wow.
My grandchildren will speak God's word in that building, in their lives and in their voices and in their, in their testimonies. That's something to think about. You get my age and you start, I'm not old by any means. I'm not going to get old. I'm going to be a teenager at heart till I go home. But, you start thinking more when you hit certain marks in your lifetime and just your age, you start thinking more that there is a finish line to this. When I started ministry, I was 20. I think when I started at Upward, I was 28 or 29. It's like the whole future out there is this big cloudy thing. I'm 55. The finish line's coming. You know what I mean? It's still a ways off. I got 15 years left anyway. I think I can pastor till I'm 70, maybe beyond. We'll let God decide that for sure. But you start seeing that line coming and you start thinking, I'm going to lay the foundation for things that will be here after I'm gone. David did that.
Yep.
David could not build the temple. Old Testament king, great king, wealthy king. He really, really wanted to do it. He wanted to see it. He never saw it. He couldn't see it. God basically said, "You got too much blood on your hands to build my house." And but David did what he could. He people don't often give him credit for it. He supplied the building materials and the networking necessary for Solomon to be able to go get the stuff that he needed. He made a way for his son to build. So yeah, this will outlive us. When we started talking about Mills River, we met a year ago with the group leaders and started talking about this. This isn't a brand new thing.
Right.
I think many of the congregation kind of knew we were thinking this way anyway, but we started talking with them, and I remember telling them one day, you're going to drive around your wonderful town of Mills River, and you're going to see a church there, and your kids will be there, and your grandkids will be there, and you'll think I had a part in starting that.
Yep.
So pretty cool.
Love it. Love it. So this week, we are starting a brand new series for this upcoming weekend.
We are.
ID, talking about our identity in Christ. It's going to be great.
Yes, we're talking about who we are in Jesus Christ. We're walking into a conversation that the culture is having right now in a huge way, into identity crisis that's facing so many people, and that's one of the huge crises in our world today is a crisis of identity. Who am I? And what we're going to allow to define our identities. So we start that up on Sunday.
Thursday.
That's right. Thanks, Greg.
It's coming.
In 3 days, we begin this series called Identity, and it's coming. So it's really going to be, we've been excited about this one for a while.
Yeah.
And I've been feeling the urge inside to talk about some things because I don't hear it talked about enough. I don't think. I think a lot of leaders are running away from this conversation, and not that we're the saviors or the best thing going, but I feel with the authentic relationships we're called to have and to demonstrate, we have to authentically talk about this conversation.
Well, we're looking forward to it.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good series.
It's going to be fun. Yep.
And so thanks again for sharing your heart with us.
Been great.
And
Thank
helping
y'all.
answer some of those questions.
It's going to be good. See y'all soon. Thanks for being with us.